New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
What Would Louise Say? Join us every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. Hosted by Reverend Martine Bernard. Explore the wisdom of Louise Hay. Brought to you by New Thought Media Network. Dive into Louise's teachings. Experience healing and empowerment. Reverend Martine shares insights. Connect with a contemporary audience. Unlock your potential. Transform your life with love. Embrace positivity and healing. Join our vibrant community. Ready to join us? Let's spread love and wisdom together. Please like, share, and subscribe. Only on New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
Hello, 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 my beautiful ones. I'm Reverend Martine Bernard, and this is the wonderful show called What Would Louise Say? Oh, welcome, welcome. This is a sacred space, beautiful ones, as we explore the teachings of Louise and we ask how her wisdom can support us in living more empowered, joy-filled, and meaningful lives. I am so excited. Today's conversation is so powerful because we're talking about healing, grief, and transformation through our daily practices, particularly when we begin in the mornings, because Louise taught us every thought we think is creating our future. So our guest today, I'm honored to welcome Toby Oliver. Toby is a Heal Your Life workshop leader, a registered therapist and grief counselor, and a trauma-informed yoga and meditation teacher. He is deeply devoted to helping people through loss, illness, and life transformations into a place of empowerment and peace. And he's the co-author of an award-winning book, Rise and Shine: How to Transform Your Life Morning by Morning. So this beautiful work. Hello, hello, hello.
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 Hi, thank you so much. It's so lovely to be here.
Oh, it's so wonderful to have you. And you are streaming in from the UK.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Oh my goodness, that's wonderful. Where exactly, if you don't mind telling our viewers?
I grew up in London, but I live in Sheffield in the north of England.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. What I love about Louise's impact and her work is that it is global. It's so life-changing that it just mushroomed across the globe. We are so thrilled to have you here with us this morning. So your work, Toby, is very closely linked with people navigating grief, bereavement, and illness. And I know that this is such a tender time and space for so many, especially with what's happening on the planet. I feel as though people are even grieving this new environment, the interesting events that have been happening globally. So from your perspective, how can Louise's philosophy support someone who's grieving? And, pardon me, that's going to be the second question. How did you find Louise? Or how did Louise find you?
Yeah, Louise definitely found me. And it's a really interesting story. And there are a number of parts to it, I guess.
Yes.
So I'd say the first time that I found Louise, I was 18. And I was traveling around Southeast Asia before going to university. And I was on a very, very small island in Thailand. And there was quite a sort of new age hippie community there. It was very small. And there was a little market each day, and people would set a sarong out and then they'd put goods on it. And one person had books. And in those days, obviously, this was before Kindle, anything, you took paper books with you. And so people would trade books and sell books. And I realize now what there was, a copy was of Louise's original book, The Little Blue Book.
The
It
little
wasn't
blue
You Can
book.
Heal Your Life, it was The Little Blue Book.
I remember the little blue book.
Yeah. Well, so what's so interesting is I remember being drawn to this book and then looking through it and seeing there was a list of conditions and then affirmations. And this sort of blew my mind. And I remember reading it. And then the two women that I was traveling with, I'd say, oh, I found this book. And then we'd go. And every day I remember we'd go and look. And we'd read to this book and we'd look for different things. And some of the affirmations stayed with me. I think the reason I didn't buy the book then was because I wasn't truly ready for Louise's teachings yet. So I think I was drawn to it. And interestingly, I worked with some of the affirmations a lot. I remember some of them stayed with me. I released the past and I released past conditioning.
Yes.
And I still use that. And it's really interesting. So that was then. And then fast forward many years later, so I worked with someone who I realized who would talk about the metaphysical, the metaphysics of illness. And
Yes.
I remember being fascinated in that. And I was saying, how do you learn it? But how did you know this? And he was very much, he liked to hold the power. So he didn't say, oh, there's this wonderful book to read. He kept it to himself. But again, I think I wasn't quite ready. And it wasn't until many years later when I was training to be a yoga teacher, and the school of yoga I trained with, Dru Yoga, they use a lot of visualization, a lot of affirmations as part of their work. And so I'd been working with a teacher, a Dru teacher. Interestingly, my friend Anna came to visit in Sheffield and said, I've been doing yoga and I want to go to a class while I'm home over Christmas, and I've been to the library and they printed out a list of classes and there's one round the corner from your house. So you're going to come with me. So I went with her, I think 2 or 3 times. And this was a Dru Yoga class. I didn't know Dru Yoga. And I kept going. For years. And affirmations were weaved into the class all the way through. So all of the postures, all of the sequences, there were visualizations, and then there were affirmations as well.
Goodness.
And it was really powerful. And so when I then decided to train as a teacher, I realized that these affirmations were not something the teacher was adding. These were part of the teaching, the style of Dru Yoga. So it really resonated with me. And then, so my friend Anna invited me. She was really struggling. She was having a difficulty and she needed some extra help work. She ran her own business. She had a huge project. She said, will you come and do some work with me? So I did. And then one day I decided I'd finished early and I walked back and there was a secondhand bookshop. And I was looking at books, and as happens, I pulled a book off the shelf and the book next to it fell off. And that was You Can Heal Your Life. But it wasn't just any edition, it was the beautiful gift edition.
Yes.
It's big. It's got beautiful illustrations in it.
Yes.
It had a bookmark in it from the bookshop that someone had bought it in, and it looked like it had never been read. So it was like, this was the gift to me. So I bought it, and then on the train journey home, I started reading it, and I read most of it, and it sort of, started to unlock things within me.
Yes.
And I was at a transitional period in my life. I'd left a job. I was training as a yoga teacher, and I knew that I wanted more out of life and I wanted to help people and be of service. And that book really, really helped me. And then I started listening to it on audio. And I listened to it obsessively on audio. So it's read by Louise. So I had Louise's voice, and it got so much so that my husband would come in, because he would say, what are you listening to? And I said, oh, it's Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life. And he knew it was really important to me. So that what happened is he'd come in the room, I was listening to it, and he'd say, hi, Toby, hi, Louise. Because she was so present in our life. And I started to use the affirmations. And as Louise says, the green lights and the parking spaces, things started to shift.
Yes.
And I then wanted more, and I went to my local library to find other books. And I think the second book I read was Letters to Louise,
Oh, yes.
which is a really beautiful book, because this is people writing with very specific problems and Louise writing back personal advice.
Because she had a newsletter.
Yeah, oh, is that what it was?
For the newsletter, and they compiled it. So I definitely, Letters to Louise, beloveds, beautiful
Yes.
ones. It's an incredible book. Please purchase it. It gives you very specific. She's coaching people.
Yeah, she's coaching people, and
Yes.
and seeing the sort of the skill and the precision of the work, because obviously with You Can Heal Your Life, it's naturally going to be general because it's to appeal to as wide an audience, as many people as possible. But to read Letters to Louise and go, oh, this work is really laser precise. You know, you can really focus in.
And we have the beautiful smaller, but this is a beautiful gift edition. This is the 40th anniversary edition, available at all booksellers. I have 3 floating around the house because I couldn't get enough of it. It is such a beautiful edition. So my beautiful ones, please support this work. Please support Louise's legacy by purchasing the 40th anniversary and gift it. Gift it to your friends. I know we're far from the holidays, but find a reason to gift it because it's life-changing. It fell off the bookshelf to Toby.
And I'm amazed so many people will say, you know, it fell off the shelf, it hit me on the head, or it landed at my feet.
I would be in a bookstore. I was at a wonderful bookstore. I would hang out there during my college years. And it was called Trident Bookstore Cafe on Newbury Street. And on the way to the ladies' room, it was right there. And it said, you could heal your life. And I would argue with it. I would say, what do you mean I can heal my life? Is my life broken? I kind of feel, wait a second, am I a victim of circumstances? I didn't create this world. I can heal it. I can heal myself. And finally, I just bought the book. But it was right there and it was facing out. And that's what's so cute is all the other books weren't, but the title was facing out. And I'd go by it and I go, what's that book? And finally, I just said yes.
And I think that's it. It's you know, when we're ready, the teacher appears and Louise is there. And
so then you went on, because your husband would say, hi, Toby, hi, Louise. How did you discover the training and Dr. Patricia and Rick? So you became a yoga, oh my God, Dru Yoga sounds amazing. Are there still Dru Yoga practitioners and teachers?
Yeah, I think not in the States in the same way. There was a small school. I think I know that the creators of Dru, they were asked at one point about sort of almost selling the approach to a chain of finish, but they didn't want it to be diluted and commercialized. So there are big schools in England, in Wales, in Germany, in the Netherlands, in Australia. It's very big in Australia. So all over the world, I just think, you know, North America it's annoying. And it's a shame because it's such a beautiful form of yoga, because it's really like heart-led, and it sits with Louise's, like, I think Louise's philosophy is sort of, I guess it's so aligned with it.
So I'm affirming there will be a Dru Yoga teacher, and I might be one, because this sounds phenomenal. And how did you find the workshop training? When did you? Because your story is just amazing, Toby.
Yeah. So that's really interesting. So I guess what happened was I just was so hungry for everything Louise. So I sort of would look for books and read more books. And I think that, interestingly, I think the third book I read was the one Louise wrote with Cheryl Richardson, You Can Create an Exceptional Life.
Yes.
Which is quite a small book, but I loved it. And I remember reading that on a train. And then the ticket conductor came round to check tickets, and he said, oh, that's an interesting title. He said, I'd like an exceptional life. So so how do you do it? So I said, well, and we spoke for like nearly half an hour.
Oh.
And I thought, that's so Louise, that she just brings people together and you have conversations. And he opened up and I opened up. And I think before Louise's work, I would have been wary and thought, oh, I don't be vulnerable. But I think one of the other affirmations I love of Louise is that, I make friends wherever I go. I'm beautiful and people love me. And that sense of that we all deserve to be here. We're all welcomed and we can be welcoming. And I think that is so powerful.
Yep.
And so you see the effect. So those conversations. So I know I didn't answer the question about the workshop. So I think I then found the training side and I kept looking I wanted to do a workshop.
Yes.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because it took me a while to find a workshop that was at a time and a date that I could do.
Yes.
And I live in the north of England. And my sister lives just outside London in Twickenham, near a place called Richmond. And there was a workshop in Richmond. So I thought, well, that's perfect. I can stay with my sister. I can do the workshop. Excuse me. And so I rang my sister and said, oh, I really want to do this workshop. Could I stay with you? And then she said, oh, well, what's the workshop? And I said, oh, it's Louise Hay. She said, oh, I'd really like to do that. That sounds really interesting. But she then said, oh, but I'm away. I'm in Brighton. I'm seeing a gig, so I can't go. But you can stay in the house. I thought, fine. Yes. So I booked to go on the workshop. And then I was walking in the park and I got a message from my sister saying, oh, the gig's been cancelled. I can do the workshop. Shall I do it? And bearing in mind, the workshop is a lot about, your childhood and stuff. And I was like, oh, with my sister, my initial reaction was, no, that's really scary. My older sister, I'm going to feel. And so I didn't say anything, and I was with my husband. And I said, "What was the thing?" And he said, "Well, I get why you might feel awkward, but maybe there's an opportunity to lean in to something here." And then my sister said, "Oh, if it's weird, I get it. I'll do it another time." And I said, "No, you know what? Why not? Let's do it. There's an opportunity." So she spoke to Jane Matthews, who was running the workshop, and said, "Look, this is the situation. Brother and sister, what do you think?" And Jane said, well, I'll make sure that you don't work on exercises together. When we're doing partner work, I'll make sure you're always with someone else. It was actually in a very small room with quite a small group. So you were aware of stuff, but it was really powerful. And it changed my relationship with my sister. Oh. And so much so that at the workshop, because we both had a really transformative experience, and I said, I'd really like to do the training. There's something calling me. And my sister said, oh, I think you should. You'd be really good at it. Oh. Which really surprised me, because I thought, older sister, she'd go, what do you mean you're going to do the workshop? Who do you think you are? But she wouldn't say.
Brother. What is my brother thinking?
And so that felt really validating, and so that's how I decided to then do the training. But the workshop was really transformative, and it really helped us to see one another differently, see our experience of childhood. What was fascinating is that we would talk about experiences in childhood, and I'd have this perception, she'd have this perception, completely same event, but we saw it from a very different angle.
So different. It's interesting. I'm thinking about, my mom told me one of her favorite childhood poems, my mom is a native French speaker, was La table vue par le chien, the table seen from the dog's point of view. And I always chuckle because you were sitting at the table of life, and we all have a different gaze and angle on the world, on the room, on the environment. Our minds are so completely different, and something that may have traumatized someone was not even a bother to someone else, and they're in the same family. And the honoring, what's so beautiful is that through the workshop, through the work, you were both able to honor your unique perspectives without blame, without shaming, without you're insane. It wasn't like that. That's what a healing for you both. How incredible. Very incredible.
Yeah, so it was really powerful. I did the week training, which was amazing. I did that in the UK with Patricia and Rick, and that was, well, that's another life-changing experience.
Yes.
And I came back from that really inspired and with ideas of work I wanted to do, but of books that I wanted to write. And my sister called me the morning after I got back, and she said, "You know, I want to know how it was, you know, because she was so excited about the workshop. She wanted to know." So I told her, and I said, "Oh, it was really inspiring." We talked about it. I said, I feel like I want to write some books." And she said, "Oh, I have an idea for a book." And she said, "I have this idea for a book called Rise and Shine, about morning routines." And I said, and we discovered that both of us had morning routines that included sort of affirmations and some of Louise's other techniques and other things. We didn't know this, but this had really helped us to sort of, you know, reshape our lives. So she talked about the book, and said, "The thing is, I've got the ideas, but I know that I'm not going to enjoy the writing." And I said, "I love writing. I just find it quite hard to the ideas." Now, I think she said, "Why don't we write it together?" She thinks I said, "Why don't we write it together?" So I don't know who, but Louise brought us together. And that's how we then decided that we would write a book together. Having never worked together, having spent a childhood where we fought like cat and dog, we wrote a book together. And a lot of, you know, a number of the practices are, you know, inspired by Louise. We thank Louise in the book. We reference Louise because it's, you know, it was her work for both of us that really unlocked the transformation of our lives.
Oh my goodness, what a beautiful story of healing and collaboration,
Yeah.
inspired by Louise Hay. My goodness, I'm so in awe. And I love the title Rise and Shine, metaphysically, spiritually, and of course in the morning. But we rise up. Oh, Dr. Patricia is saying, the 2-day Love Yourself, Heal Your Life workshop Louise created is transformational. Thank you, Dr. Patricia. We're so excited to have you on here viewing us, and so excited. I'm so excited to be with Toby. What a testimony. What a testimony of yes. Oh, from India. Yes. Yay. Thank you for viewing us. We are global, us Heal Your Life teachers.
And the training I went on was global. There were people from all over the world who'd come to the UK to train. And we're going to take that work back to, the Middle East, to India, to Eastern Europe, to Spain. I'm trying to think, Egypt. I mean, it was really,
oh my gosh, everywhere.
Everywhere. It's amazing. But what I loved was that all of these people who had such different backgrounds, you know, we were able to recognize our sort of shared humanity, but also that Louise's work resonated and spoke to us. Whatever, regardless of the color of our skin, gender expression, or our religion, or lack of religion, or our social class, or our sexuality, that actually that belief, which is truly transformative, that we are the only thinkers in our mind. I mean, I think that in itself, if we can truly appreciate that, is life-changing. It's revolutionary. Because we're brought up to think we are this stuff of the mind and we have no say over it.
Precisely. Especially now, I feel like there's a particular, I'm an expert, I have knowledge, but the lack of embodiment. So everybody has access. I mean, there are thought influencers everywhere. On my phone, on my Facebook, on my IG. I can't even get to my friends because it's some advertisement or a workshop for this, for a teacher. So now it's the age of the teachers, but there is a teacher within. What's so powerful is that Louise always pointed back to that inner wisdom, back to the child within and the self within that is all knowing, completely whole and healed and prosperous. We've forgotten. And it's only, we don't have to catastrophize or scare ourselves. It's only a thought, and a thought can be changed. And Toby, I am so thrilled because you are, I consider you a thought influencer and master teacher using Louise's philosophy to deal with grief, a subject that so few people want to touch. We are socialized to, after 3 days you go back to work and you have to have, you have to seem and appear relatively normal. I don't think any of us grew up understanding the stages of grief. I think it's those of us who are doing this inner work and who are clinicians, healers, and teachers, but it's not something that the average person, well, thank goodness, it's definitely in the zeitgeist today. Oh, yes. I was abused by a narcissist. I listened to Louise Hay affirmations. Yes, my beloved. Healing. Yes, healing the world. Thank you for being here. You know, Louise was physically abused, sexually abused. Her dad abandoned her family, and yet she developed this perspective through the philosophy of the science of mind. I'm here to say, yes, my beautiful one. Thank you for viewing. Yes, you can heal your life. And I'm so happy that you're doing Louise's affirmations. Thank you. Thank you for being with us today. But Toby, you are masterful in the realm of grief. Can you talk a little bit about why grief? Why was that your call to take this feed, this and make it your life's work?
Yeah, and it's an interesting one. I think again, the path unfolds as we step forward. I certainly, when I trained as a therapist, I didn't have the intention of working in grief, but I found myself very soon. That's where I started to work. So the thing that inspired me to train as a therapist was I was doing some work at local hospice in Sheffield where I live, and they have a non-medical centre, so support for people who are affected by an incurable illness. And so they could be a patient, but they could also be a loved one. And initially I went and I was teaching yoga and meditation. And then I'd done my training, and I said, oh, I've done this training and I'd be really interested in using this work here. And they went, oh, well, we don't have any space for that yet, but that's really useful to know. And then about a week later, they said, oh, the person who runs up the positive thinking course can't do it next term. Can you run it? And I said, yes. Can I just teach what I want to teach? And yes. So I did a Heal Your Life workshop, but as a series. And I did that quite a few times. So my first workshop experience was with people affected by life-limiting or life-ending illness. And it was really powerful for people. And we did the singing.
I love myself the way I am.
Yeah, and I am safe. It's only change. Doors opening, doors closing. Yeah. Which I love. And every time I go in a lift, an elevator, and you hear doors opening, doors closing, I play that song. So I love it. And I often use that with clients and say, just think, when you leave our session today, you're going to open a door and you're going to step through into the rest of your day. And when you come in, you're going to close the door, and whatever troubles in your life, you can leave them. And I say, you could think how many doors do you walk through in a day? And every time you walk through, could you be stepping into something you want? And every time you close the door behind you, could you be closing the door on something you don't want? Sometimes just that is like, moment by moment, I'm opening doors, closing doors. Because you're opening a door because you want to step through. You might want to get a glass of water or go to the bathroom, but you're still doing something you want to do. And I think that's what's so beautiful about Louise's teaching is the simplicity, and then you scale up. You scale up from that simple thing to really profound doors that I'm then going to open.
That's right. And Reverend Michael, could you please put up Louise's book on healing and loss? Louise wrote an incredible You Can Heal Your Heart with David Kistler on the 5 steps of grief with her philosophy.
Yeah.
And so this is an incredible book, my beloved. If you're going through, oh my gosh, a divorce, any kind of loss and death, a breakup, loss, any experience of loss that brings up grief, our beloved Louise was able to address this and leave us an incredible book. I have the original copy where there's some lovely hearts all over it.
Me too.
Yes, I know that they've just changed the cover, but this is available at all booksellers, and it is a treasure. It is a treasure. And Toby, we are going to take a quick break. We will be back. I'm Rev Martine, and this is What Would Louise Say on the New Thought Media Network.
Please help us say thank you to all of our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Center for Spiritual Living United Life, Sunshine Cathedral, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Universal Joy Center, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Home Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. On behalf of New Thought Media Network, thank you, and please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, come be you.
The Heal Your Life Workshop Facilitator and Life Coach Certification Training, approved personally by Louise Hay, is coming to San Diego, facilitated by expert trainers Christy Dixon and Anna Milkick. This 3.5-month training includes multiple sessions on Zoom and 9 days in beautiful San Diego. It will change your life and enable you to help others transform their lives.
New Thought Media Network is excited to present Divine Science Everywhere, Fridays at 2 p.m. Mountain Time and 4 p.m. Eastern. Come explore a modern experience of divine science. With Reverend Joy Fletcher, Reverend Jeff Radcliffe, and Bishop Durrell Watkins. Join us as we open our eyes to divine science everywhere we look. Fridays on New Thought Media Network.
What Would Louise Say? Join us every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. Hosted by Reverend Martine Bernard. Explore the wisdom of Louise Hay. Brought to you by New Thought Media Network. Dive into Louise's teachings. Experience healing and empowerment. Reverend Martine shares insights. Connect with a contemporary audience. Unlock your potential. Transform your life with love. Embrace positivity and healing. Join our vibrant community. Ready to join us? Let's spread love and wisdom together. Please like, share, and subscribe. Only on New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
I'm so excited to be back, beloveds, beautiful ones. This is Toby Oliver, who's streaming with us from the UK. I'm thrilled to have you here, Tony. Toby. I'm so sorry, Toby. And I do have a question.
Mhm.
How do you feel as a grief therapist, counselor, that Louise's work informs grief when someone is going through grief and loss or bereavement?
It's a big question.
It's a
That
big question.
It's a big question. I think that often when we're in grief, we feel very fearful, and our mind can bring us a lot of thoughts that are trying to deal with that fear that can be very, very difficult. So I
Yeah.
think that Louise's approach, that we can change our thoughts, that we don't have to just accept the thoughts that the mind brings us, that actually we can replace them, that there are also other practical things we can do.
Yes.
So it may be sometimes mirror work can be really helpful in grief, because actually being able to look at yourself, but to sit with yourself and keep yourself company and to notice what's coming up. Because then if you're going to, I guess, address the challenges, the fears, the issues, we need to know what they are. You can't sort of, until you recognize it, you can't begin to change it until you accept it.
Precisely.
And so I guess a lot of it is that you're not broken. You might feel heartbroken, but you're still whole and perfect, that you're still loved, that you're still worthy, that you're still a deserving child of the universe, and that there are some helpful affirmations that people may like to use, but often it's working with individuals to craft their own affirmations. But I think that so much, the way I think of Louise's work, and I think back to when I listened to her voice, her talking, is it was just that sense of someone being there with me, saying it's not that it's going to be okay, that it is okay, that you're okay, that you can get through this because you are okay. And sometimes, it's interesting, sometimes the messages can be challenging for people. I'm safe, it's only change.
Yes.
That can be quite a challenging message in grief. But actually, if we can allow ourselves to sit with it and think, well, why don't I feel safe? Why am I resisting the change? I think Louise is the thing that stuck with me when Louise says we all arrive in the middle of the movie and we all leave before the end of the movie. And you go, yeah, because there was life before us, there will be life after us. We're here for as long as we're here, which is, it's a very challenging message, but if we can really believe and accept that, it's actually a very freeing message.
It's a very freeing message.
Mm-hmm.
I've recently gone through a loss, and so I've been doing this work, and what's so interesting is that many times when people are going through losses, all of the compounded losses can come up. So this is true whether you're going through a breakup or a divorce or a death or a loss could be you got a great new job, but you were at another job which you loved for 20 years.
Absolutely, yes. Yes.
So the changes are neither good or bad. It's our thinking that makes it so. But this thought of I can't go on. How would you address that, Toby? If someone was sitting in front of you and they said, because of this loss, the death, the breakup, the divorce, the even being let go from their job or layoff, there's so much happening on the planet right now. How would you support someone if they said, I can't go on? This is too much change. But that feeling, feeling of I can't go on.
And I think a lot of people feel that, excuse me.
No problem. Please take a sip. Yes.
Sorry, I have a bit of a cough at the moment, so sorry. I think a lot of people feel that generally. I've actually had, I had clients today expressing exactly that. And I think there's something about the next person and recognizing that there's a part of you that's saying I can't go on, but yet there's a part of you that came here today that chose to open the door and sit in this room. And so there's a part of you that's recognizing that you can go on, that you want to go on. And maybe we need to connect to that part and listen to that part of you and support that part of you, and think of the reasons today or even this morning that you can go on. That often in grief, it's reducing it to a day, or it might be a morning, or it might be the next hour, because the next week or month or year can seem overwhelming. And so it's just take it down to just in this moment. Can I find some safety in this moment? Or can I allow someone else to hold hope? Can they allow me to hold the belief that they can go on?
That's right.
And to offer that to them.
Yes. Oh, that's so wonderful. Thank you so much, because there's so much happening, and people are just feeling, I think, even the loss of a changing world that seems to be rapidly changing. I think many of us can, whether you're Gen X or you're a millennial or you're, a boomer, I think many of us are looking at life and going, it wasn't like this before. What's going on? So that can bring up a sense of loss.
Yes.
But doors open. It's only change. Doors opening, doors closing. I am safe. I am safe. It's only change. And you say it until you begin to embody it and feel it. And you feel crazy. It's only change. I'm safe. It feels like a crazy statement when you're going through such turbulent. It can be a gentle transition or something very turbulent. So you can feel like, what am I saying to myself? But eventually one day you feel that your nervous system and your consciousness, your brain goes, yes, it's only change. I am safe.
Yeah.
It's only change.
And I think often the other thing is what I love in Louise's work is that if an affirmation, I am safe, is too big a step, that you can draw it back to, I'm willing to feel safe.
Yes.
Or even, I'm willing to learn to feel safe. And I think sometimes saying that to clients, you don't have to feel safe now, but could you just have some trust? So I remember doing one of my workshops and doing a meditation, and one of the participants, actually someone who'd brought a parent, and they sat just very rigid, and they said, I can't relax. I can't relax. And I said, that's a very strong belief, but are you willing to relax? And she went, well, what do you mean? I said, well, are you willing to relax? Yeah. I said, well, could you just say to yourself, I'm willing to relax? I said, don't worry, you don't think about relaxing, just focus on the willingness. And then see, and then when you feel ready, you can say, I'm relaxed. Yes. And I think taking it back gives people a bit of power if they don't feel ready. And that's what I think sometimes some of the other approaches with affirmations that aren't as sort of sophisticated as Louise, it's very much, you just say this, and you sort of say this regardless of whether it feels comfortable or true to you. But we know it needs to feel personal. It needs to feel sort of appropriate. You need to believe it, or believe it's possible.
Yes, you have to believe it's possible. If it's too far-fetched, your consciousness, it's just not going to work.
No. And then you'll make yourself feel worse because you set up a conflict. So that's where I think the concept of willingness is so helpful, and so often helpful for people. That I'll often start and say, would you be willing, to affirm this, or to just say this?
Yes.
And they go, I could do that. Because they look and they go, oh yeah, I'll humor him, I can do that. And then I'll see them a week or 2 weeks later, I'll say, and they say, actually, that felt good. I'll say, how could you change it? And often they've changed it anyway, and they say, I let go of the willing because I didn't feel I needed it. It was like it's like the stabilizers on a bicycle, or the water wings. They suddenly went, I don't need it. I feel I've got used to the water. I've got used to the saddle. Okay.
That's right.
I can use the affirmation because it feels appropriate for me now.
And this brings me back to your incredible book, Rise and Shine, because as we're going through transitions, whether it's an easy transition or it feels a little rockier, developing routines, especially a powerful morning routine, really helps to anchor us into this new way of life. Because for many who may be viewing and streaming in the future when they see our interview, this is a beginning place. Not everyone has heard about Louise. And if you're going through a change, whether it's a loss, a breakup, a divorce, you're moving, you're getting married, or you're, or whatever it may be, the power of the morning, the shine method. Can you talk to us a little bit about the shine method that's found in your book that you co-authored with your sister?
With my sister, yes. Yeah, absolutely. Because, the way that we start our morning matters.
Yes.
It sets the tone for the rest of our day. And I guess the question to ask ourselves is, do I rise and shine, or do I rise and whine? And what works for you?
That.
Yeah, because, and so many of us, we rise and, and the alarm goes off and we swear and we curse and we think that just sets us up for a day full of conflict and dis-ease. And so actually being more conscious about how we start our day, we know it makes a difference. We know experientially, but we know the science shows that actually setting our intentions for the day is like letting the wind into our sails and having our hand on the tiller. So we're steering in the direction that we want to go in, rather than just randomly letting ourselves be carried by the day. And I know there was a period in my life where I'd get to the end of the day and I'd look back and think, what happened? That's not what I wanted there to be. That was a disaster. And when I started to bring in intentionality into the morning, I would go into my day already feeling, I have some structure, I've achieved something. And invariably, however difficult the day, I'd end up in a better space because I'd have more capacity. So the shine method is an approach that me and my sister have come up with that brings together the 5 elements that to build sort of positive habits, to build a flexible routine. So it's very much a flexible approach. It's not one of these things that says you have to get up at this time and you have to do this and this. It's very much you craft the routine using these 5 ingredients. So the first is silence. It's about creating some moments of stillness, peace, and reflection in the day. Yes. And with each of the sections, there are 5 practices to choose from. Then there's happiness. So techniques to begin the day with sort of confidence and feeling uplifted. So bringing some of the pleasure, I guess to some extent it's working with that inner child. What do I love? And if I make time at the beginning of the day, then I've started by honoring it. There's intention. So finding practices that empower you to shape your day.
Yes.
So rather than letting your day shape you, shaping day nourishment. So making sure, we focus so much on the food we put in our bodies, but what do we feed our minds and our souls? That's just as important. I'd say possibly even more important.
It's more
not just a body. We're one beautiful system, and we need to nourish all of ourselves. And then exercise, so moving the body in gentle ways to create energy for the day ahead. So it's blending these different ingredients to create the perfect recipe for you.
So there are 5 steps, and the first is silence.
So shine is an acronym. So silence, happiness, intention, nourishment, and exercise. And actually, there are 6 practices in each section to choose from. Wow. And so the book sets out what it is, how to do it, and then gives the research of why it works. And we also, for each practice, we give a sort of a personal anecdote. So from our lives or working with clients where it's worked. It's designed to keep on you'd say nightstand, we'd say bedside table. And so you have it as a resource, and you create your shine plan, your rise and shine plan. And then you can flex it up or down depending on the time that you've got for the day.
Toby, this has been phenomenal. I ask every guest that's on, we're living through turbulent times. Collectively, I feel like in our consciousness, the consciousness of the world, and in the body of the affairs, the politics, the economics, the social. What are 3 tips you would give to someone viewing with us today, if you were seated in front of them, that could help encourage them to just, know that it's only change, and they are safe? What are just 3 tips based on your teaching, your philosophy, your lived experience, your experience with clients?
I think one of the most powerful things is to connect to nature. So something as simple as just stepping outside and looking at the sky. We suddenly realize that there is a wider perspective. As you talked about, we see there's a whole different view. There's a whole life, there's a whole world out there that cares nothing for politics.
Yes.
We'll go on that Mother Nature doesn't care who's in 10 Downing Street or who's in the White House. She is doing her stuff regardless. We need to play our part in working with her, but she doesn't care,
She continues to manifest her beauty and majesty no matter what's happening.
Yeah, and I think that can be reassuring, that the sun rises and sets each day, and that's just remembering that can be really helpful. Remembering that we're all human and we all desire and deserve to be loved, and trying to see even the people we disagree with most, maybe just seeing them as human, as there's a child in them who maybe is hurt or damaged. And that doesn't mean that we excuse what people have done, but we maybe find a way of forgiving, of not getting so caught up in it. So I think that can be helpful. And then focusing on what can I do today to bring more kindness into the world, even if it's the smallest thing, even if it's picking up a bit of litter from the pavement, or smiling at someone, or sending a message to a friend and just saying, I love you. But actually we can always do something that increases the sum of kindness and love in the world.
Oh, we always can. And most importantly, it's only a thought.
Yes.
And the thought can be changed. And we are safe. Safe till you're saying it, you think you're crazy. It's only change, and I am safe. Or I live in a safe universe, and I only attract the loving people into my world. I think that is so important. Oh, Toby, let's put up Toby's book again, Rise and Shine. I intend on getting a copy of your incredible book.
Thank you.
I don't know how long it's been published, but congratulations for collaborating with your sister, with a sibling. I think that's incredible. I thought it was your wife. I said, oh, this couple.
No, I know people often think that, yes.
And I said, I'm like, oh, brother and sister, gift. This is a gift to the world that you're leaving as, inspired by Louise's work and worldview that was life-changing to Toby and his sister. So I'm so grateful. I'm grateful for everything that you're doing. Thank you for being willing to have this very, very special, tender conversation around grief at a time where people are just grieving the world that we're in a new. There's a new energy, and we know that the people before us and the people after us, like Louise says in the movie, we come in the middle of the movie, and we exit in the middle of the movie. We'll go on to thrive and prosper, and we are safe. Toby Oliver from the UK, trainer, teacher, workshop leader, therapist, yoga teacher. We don't have this done. I wish we had it here in the US. You never know. It has been wonderful having you on. Please, 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 please Stay tuned, stay with us after we're done. But thank you, beautiful ones. I am Reverend Martine Bernard, and this is What Would Louise Say on the New Thought Media Network.
The Heal Your Life Workshop Facilitator and Life Coach Certification Training, approved personally by Louise Hay, is coming to San Diego. Facilitated by expert trainers Christy Dixon and Anna Milkick. This 3.5-month training includes multiple sessions on Zoom and 9 days in beautiful San Diego. It will change your life and enable you to help others transform their lives.